not like think too highly of yourself, be like, oh, I'm gonna be the one that's gonna nail it the first time, but to actually be like, okay, like I can fail and that's okay. And like it's like your ego like isn't a factor here. Like failure is okay. We failed, we move on, we keep going towards success, as opposed to like letting that sort of shatter you like after the first time that you like go for a property and you don't make a profit.
Yeah, and kind of like how I get through that is so like I said with the business credit cards, they're anywhere from 12 to 18 months. 0% interest. So if I'm spending like 15, 20K on a property, I'm just like thinking to myself, like, okay, what's the monthly payment going to be? If it's like $500 a month, like if this does go south and like all of it fails, can I afford to like eat $500 a month for like a certain amount of time?
And you run that through your head.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, I can make an extra $500 if I need to.
Okay.
But the good thing about rental arbitrage is like somehow I've taught a couple hundred students at this time, and I've never had a student like lose any money or fail, which is pretty crazy because you would think like, oh no, never.
How many students have you had?
I've taught over 200 people now.
Over 200 people?
Yeah.
And how long? Sorry, how long again? You already told me a little bit.
A little over a year now. But you would think I'd have like one person at least that had like
just like none.
But I haven't yet somehow.
200 no.
Yeah, I haven't yet.
Well, the market. I mean, it's just like stocks. It's easy to be a stock genius when the entire stock market is going up, and if the market for rentals is continue to go up and there's still a lot of pent-up travel demand, that's all great. The real test is, when there's an economic downturn, and then what happens when people stop renting Airbnbs and you're stuck with these leases, right?
I wanted to get into that. So like there are some like restrictions recently that have been coming down from like municipalities on Airbnbs from San Diego County. Like here in Encinitas, there's been restrictions. There's been restrictions, I think, in Carlsbad. And further south as you get into like towards downtown San Diego and then further South County. So there's restrictions on Airbnbs, and on how hosts have to maintain them, like permitting, licensing. Hosts in some cases, there's now laws going around where like hosts have to actually be physically there. So how do these restrictions impact your business? Have they already? And like, what is your like response to that? Like, how do you is that a problem for you? Or
yeah, so luckily with me personally, like my properties personally, it hasn't affected me so much.
Has it affected your clients though, or
no? Typically, like how I advise like my students, like how I teach like find properties and stuff. I definitely tell people to stay out of California. No matter what kind of real estate investing you're doing, California is just not.
Are any of your students in California or no?
Yeah, I have students in California, but I typically tell people to like stay out of California for properties and stuff. No matter what you're doing, if you're Section 8 multifamily, like they just have California just has a lot of restrictions across the board.
Would you say like most in the country, like California out of?
Oh yeah, definitely. Anybody you talk to that's in like the real estate industry, they're like, oh, what do you think about like scaling to like hundreds of doors in California? They're gonna be like, they're probably gonna tell you that's probably dumb, unless they've been doing it for a while and they have like a lot of properties here that they've like occurred like over time.
Sure.
But as far as like scaling quickly, I don't think California would be the spot for that.
I think Hawaii is probably the only worse state than California with restrictions.
Yeah, definitely. That's everything across the board, not even just real estate.
Do you have to like constantly keep track of like this new legislation, how this might affect your business, or at this point are you like kind of tuned out to it and just focused on? Like, is there like any recent legislation that's like coming down the pipeline and you're like, okay, yeah, that's probably gonna affect me?
So typically I advise my students to invest into places that are like super for like vacation rentals and stuff like that. Like Phoenix, places like South Carolina, like they're I guess you can say like Governor, all those people, like they love that stuff. So I typically tell them to go to places like that, or like Florida. Like some of my best students are ripping in Florida, like the whole coast of Florida. And Florida, as you know, like loves people that are traveling to Florida. So.
Yeah. They have a very different approach there.
There's no other industry in Florida. That's why all they have is tourism. Yeah. There's no factories in Florida. They don't make anything in Florida. So if it's not tourism, it's nothing. And
it's
so
over.
That's why they have the
like,
support
with COVID. When COVID happened, right? They were some of the first ones to look
to open back up. Yeah, they were like,
we literally can't like do anything.
Like here, the people were like marching on the mayor's house because they shut the beach down for like 2 days.
Yeah.
And Florida was like, we're not having any of that.
Yeah.